Welcome to FMH Insurecast, a podcast created by Farmers Mutual Hail designed to deliver expertise and insights from trusted FMH team members and industry experts. Each new episode will dive into new products, industry updates, and innovative solutions. Let's get to today's topic.
Hello and welcome back to the FMH Insurecast. Today we're talking a little bit about our current planting conditions, and we're leading into the different ways that we can report acreage. And we have quite a few different ways to report our acreage for 2024, and we're going to highlight a few of those. I have some special guests here with me today. I have Sarah Dunnick. Sarah, you want to introduce yourself? Tell us where you're from and what you do here at FMH.
Yeah, my name is Sarah Dunnick. I live up in Northwest Iowa by Marathon. I am the Northwest Iowa District Sales Manager. I've been with FMH for about 5 years now.
Perfect. And we also have Marc Husman. Marc is on our precision team here. Marc, same thing.
Yeah, so I'm also from Northwest Iowa, so live in Cherokee, Iowa. Precision Technology Specialist is my job title here at FMH. My territory is Northern Iowa, and then I also cover Southern Minnesota as well.
Perfect. And I guess we got a little theme here going because although today I live just outside of Des Moines, I grew up in Northwest Iowa, only 7 miles away from Cherokee. So
it's a good place to be.
7 miles away on Highway 7 in Aurelia, Iowa. So anyway, let's start off. It is April the 4th today. We've gotten through our sales closing date. All those agents out there keying in apps should be done by now. So our coverages are locked in. Now it's time to look forward to planting. I thought maybe a few weeks ago we might actually be talking about planting already happening. Our weather was tremendous throughout the first half of March especially. But more recently it's turned a little colder, a little wetter. So I think planting has been delayed across the Midwest a little bit longer than we expected, but either way, it's right around the corner. So we're going to talk about just a few reminders as we get still in this period before we get to planting, and then we're going to go talk through our different ways to report acreage, and that's where we're going to employ the help of Sarah and Marc here today. So a few reminders, early plant dates. We are really approaching a few of those early plant dates. Won't try and rattle off all the early plant dates for all the crops across the Midwest, but usually starting here at the beginning of April, running through mid-April and later April, we have early plant dates. And just a reminder that those early plant dates don't mean that you don't have coverage if you plant before, say, April the 10th, maybe is the early plant date for soybeans in southern Iowa. If you plant before April the 10th, you still have multi-peril coverage. The only thing you're losing is replant. So if you have to subsequently replant that crop, then there is no replant payment. We do have some private products actually that would indemnify the insured for those types of issues, but just a reminder, that's what those early plant dates are. Prevent plant, we're way away from any real prevent plant issues, I hope, knock on wood somewhere, right? But with prevent plant, just a reminder that if you feel like you're in a position where planting could be delayed or you may not be able to plant at all, really a good time to keep in close touch with your agent. The agent needs to know because they can share with you some of the most important dates about late plant periods and final plant dates, and perhaps even do a quick audit of what ground you might have in your operation that wouldn't qualify for a prevent plant due to the 1 in 4 rule. There's also some 2020 rule considerations in there. So we won't go through all those details. I tell you, if we're sitting here in a month and a half and we still aren't planting, we'll probably do another podcast on prevent plant. But the most important part is if you are in those situations, to definitely keep in close touch with your agent. And then we're going to swing back to this, especially when we get Marc looped into the conversation. But a reminder that while you're recording your data during planting here, you can use that for crop insurance reporting. And we're going to expand on that later. But if you are set up to record your planting data, in almost every case, we can use that to report our acres through our precision tech. So we will hit that here in a little bit. But a few more tips here these are probably focused more on the farmer, but a couple more tips for hassle-free acreage reporting for our farmers. First things first, since you have last talked to your agent, you have added any land, especially land in a new county or land that's not currently in a same section as what you already have, that is a good idea to let that agent know sooner rather than later. If there's any opportunities to transfer in any history, or if we need to set up some new databases, oftentimes those need to be done before April 29th. If we're adding ground after April 29th, we have some leeway. But if you know you're adding ground for 2024 and you haven't let your agent know about it yet, I would give them a call and let them know because there might be some opportunities to transfer in some history. You might, depending on if you're a beginning farmer or if you're getting some of this land from somebody that you've farmed with previously, we want to make sure that we can get as much of that history applied to that new ground. So last thing here, when you're going to meet with your agent, we definitely want to come prepared with what we planted, right? That seems a little obvious, right? But if you have gone to the FSA office and you've completed a 578, or if you have wrapped up planting and you have your precision data ready to go, just have those things ready before you meet with your agent. It will help things go pretty smooth. So that's very long-winded, and I need a break here. But we're going to talk about a few of the different ways that we can report acres, and we have several of them. We're going to kind of highlight the pros and cons of each one of these and tell basically give agents a feel for maybe some of the different ways to report acres that they haven't tried before, and particularly when it comes to precision. But there's 3 or 4 other ways that we can report our acres outside of the old school unit by unit, line by line here. So first things first, I'm going to start off by talking about our planting intentions. Planting intentions probably most valuable actually prior to quoting. But if you're meeting with your insured, we have a feature in FMHA in our system that you can actually capture the intended acres that the farmer plans on planting. They can let you know, hey, I'm planning on planting corn to these CLUs, beans to these CLUs, and we can use that to generate an accurate quote. And we can actually keep those acres on hand and turn those into actual reported acres once we verify that their intentions actually came to fruition and they actually are going to make those same decisions in the field. At that point, all we really need to do is to plug in plant dates, and then we can submit those acres. The benefit to going the route of reporting acres via planting intentions is we're shifting some of that workload a little earlier in the season. We're also getting the most accurate quoting by doing that. And you can even create map-based reports with those planting intentions and hand that off to a producer. And when you sit back down with them after planting is complete, you can kind of quickly go through and say, this is what you told me you were going to plant. Was there any changes? And if there's no changes, we just fill in plant dates and we move on. But there are many other ways. One of my favorite ways, I'm going to lean on you, Sarah, a little bit to talk about the accuracy import. And I am going to try and sneak back in my memory. I think accuracy stands for Acreage Automated Crop Reporting System Initiative.
Streamlining
Initiative. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is accuracy?
Absolutely. Accuracy import essentially is going to be the import of that data from FSA. When you look at accuracy, you could say the secret sauce or the 11 herbs and spices, depending on what you like to eat, is going to be what we are matching the FSA plantings to your units. So you can access the accuracy report there in FMHA to see when we receive the data for your insureds. A couple of good things is the accuracy data can be there in as little as 30 minutes, but when you're looking at a week's time or a week out, that's not out of the ordinary. There's a lot of information, a lot of data coming through some of these throughways. And it automatically splits out those plant dates for the late planted acres or even the prevent planted acres. So a lot like your planting intentions, you can create a map-based report or excuse me, a map-based acreage report in just a few minutes. And you can also verify acres landed on the correct units, and then you're good to go. You can review it, get those signatures, make sure everything is correct. And I've had some really good luck with accuracy myself. I had, I would say at the time she was probably about 7 years out of retirement, was really set in her ways. And she said to me one day when I went in there to work with her, she says, listen, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And she's not a dog by any means. She's actually a really fun agent to work with. But I said, let me just show you how to do this. We'll do these 4 policies that she had or knew with us. And then if you don't like it, we can go right back to the traditional method. And we were done in about 15 minutes, and she was very impressed. So that just speaks, the volumes of the success that people have had with accuracy. So, and then of course you always have quick edits. That's going to be your most traditional method. So you're reporting your acres by unit, either from a filled out acreage report or direct from the 578. And then of course it's the line by line input. So there's not too much navigation needed, but obviously all those methods will result in a filled map. So you don't have to map that separately. Once you put it in there, it's automatically going to report to that map. So
Yeah, so just a couple things. So the accuracy import is one option, and then you mentioned quick edits. Quick edits is a little bit more that manual input. Maybe I did my acreage report by hand on paper, and then I wanted to plug it in. That's probably done through quick edits. Usually I would say when we're doing that accuracy import, we're pulling in the acres and then generating the report.
Yes.
So there's no manual handwriting done on that report. I will say the accuracy import is very accurate, but it isn't perfect. It's matching up our CLUs to the units based off of all sorts of criteria, the share arrangement, the section, the township, all those things. So it's pretty accurate, but it is something that you need to go through and edit and make sure there's no corrections that need to be made. But if you think about somebody that has 5,000 acres in a county, manually going through, matching up the 578 acres to the units on a paper report, and then trying to plug that into a quick edit system, we are going to blow away your efficiency by doing the accuracy import, even if there's corrections to be made. You're going to be combing through a pre-filled report. We can make the corrections right on the report and move on. So not saying that there's anything wrong with quick edits, but if you've never given accuracy import a try, I would highly suggest trying it out with a few policies, because it can be pretty quick.
Absolutely.
And I heard you mention there's a report out there that an agent can run too.
Yes, for accuracy. Obviously, if you do have questions or you're not for sure where to find it, reach out to your sales manager, but it can show you which insured's data is there and ready to be downloaded into FMHA.
Yeah.
So
perfect. And I can tell you, I have this story kind of running through my head as we're going through here. I remember an agent telling me a story where they started to get in the groove of using accuracy, and they were checking that report each morning. And oftentimes what they were getting is they were getting a phone call from the insured saying, hey, I just finished up at the FSA office yesterday. When do you want to meet? And they're like, well, I already have your acreage report here. It's done.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
absolutely.
Right. Because they have the information before the farmer's even alerting them that they've gone in and reported their acres. So definitely something to take advantage of there. As you mentioned, Sarah, we do not have to be in the map to get a map-based report.
No, not at all. And I think that's been, something that my agents have really looked forward to. I think when it comes to learning new things, they're a little leery of trying the new mapping system, but because this is all auto mapped, a lot of them, once they can learn how to navigate over there, really like the way it carries that information over.
But what's the best method we have out there? The best method we have out there is what Marc's going to tell us about here right now, okay? Because we're talking about precision, and precision is, well, I always say, is probably the highest level of customer service that an agent can offer the farmer. Because not only is it the most accurate, but it actually requires probably the least amount of work on behalf of the farmer. So, Mark, tell me a little bit about what precision is. I know that's a loaded question. There's a lot there, but give me a high level about what precision is and a few of the benefits that both the agent and farmer could benefit from.
Yeah, so precision, what we consider precision on the reporting side of things is we're taking data from the farmers, either their planter monitor or combine yield monitor. But we're taking that data from the planter monitor, and we can use that information for their crop reporting purposes. So, to your comment there on customer service, there's a lot of benefits from the farmer's seat in the park to using their precision data for their insurance needs. When it comes to reporting on accuracy, on the accuracy piece to precision, you're ensuring exactly what you plant. So you're not actually ensuring what your FSA officer, your 578 is telling you. So you're ensuring what the planter is actually planting.
On that note, question we get most often, does that matter? Does it matter that we may have a disconnect between our reported crop insurance acres and what is on the 578?
Yeah, so that gets brought up all the time. That's been a thing for years that they had to match. But when you're using your precision data, it doesn't have to match what your 578 says, and it's to the farmer's benefit that that's not. So you're with ensuring exactly what you plant. Generally, like what we see on the precision team, it obviously depends on your area and what kind of ground you're farming, but we see anywhere from 1% to 3% less acres generally than what the FSA office says. So to that, you're going to spread those, your same amount of production over less acres. You're going to bring up your APH over time. Plus, you're only paying premium on what you plant as well.
Yeah. I always try to break up the tangible and intangible benefits. And the most immediate tangible benefit that the farmer gets is if I'm saving 1% to 3%, I'm saving 1% to 3% on my premium. And I'm just to your comment there, I'm also taking my production and dividing it by 1% to 3% fewer acres. So it's improving my APHs over time. Sarah, I'm going to kick it to you. Can you give me some examples of some success stories that you've heard with some of the agents you've introduced precision to?
Oh, absolutely. And Marc is actually very familiar with this agent. So I had the agent call me one day, and the insured had called them concerning that they had received some sort of check from FMH. And I said, well, let me hop into the account, took a look, and from what I could see, it was a premium refund because they had used precision during planting, and come claim time, they went ahead and updated those acres with those precision acres, and it issued a refund. It corrected all of their acres, and they were able to get some money back. And I think that's always a good conversation to have with an insured. And I think that was a true testament to just how accurate this is and how beneficial it could be. So, it wasn't a ton of money, but even a dollar adds up eventually.
Yeah. And I think what you just hit on there is something I want to make sure we mention. So we talked about some of the benefits on the acreage side, but we can also use precision data for the production side and claims and audits. You want to talk a little bit about that, Marc?
Yeah. So, like to your comment earlier that your first immediate benefit is on the reporting side of things, but I personally love when it comes claim time, or if you have an APH review, precision data really shines because we're using that information and we have it in our system. And we can work claims very fast and efficiently using that precision data.
Perfect. So back to the agent benefits here. I think probably the number one is, hey, this is something I can offer you. And we believe here at FMH that we're kind of top class when it comes to precision here, right? So I think that the agent is offering that highest level of customer service, like we mentioned. And one of those things I know that we try to promote when possible is we can actually make the farmer's job a little easier when reporting their acres to FSA. I'll let either one of you take that question. How can we make them more efficient at FSA?
Yeah, so we do. So one of the nice things about precision is as soon as that farmer's done planting, they can send us that data. So from a keying perspective on the agency side, they can get that information. I mean, as soon as they're done planting, they can take it, put it in the system, And we do have FMH. We have a really nice report called an FSA acreage summary report. So, really nice report that the farmer can take and bring that down to the FSA office and help them certify down there.
I know that from talking with different agents that have tried precision in the past, not with FMH, that experience hasn't always gone so well. What might be the difference in trying it with FMH versus another AIP?
Yeah. So, I mean, I always, I don't like to brag, but I know, FMH, we've been doing this it's been over 10 years now.
Mhm. One of our other guests, I've said this before on the pod, but Ken Ripley, who's on this podcast fairly often, was the first ever
Yep.
Farmer to use precision reporting, period. So we got a lot of history. Go on.
Yeah, a lot of history, a lot of history there. And something that I always bring up too is, when we build up our system or we process acres, everything's done in house. There's no third party involvement there. So data security is a big thing. We do everything internally. So it's not getting shipped off to a third party service or anything like that. It's we also have a very accurate system. I know something that I just bring up because it gets asked a lot is overlap with planting. So if a farmer doesn't have individual row shutoffs, or even if they do have individual row shutoffs, there still is that overlap out there in the field as the farmer's planting. Our system actually takes out all the overlap. So we do have a very accurate system when it comes to that side of things too.
Perfect. I think you missed the biggest one though, Marc. And it's you guys.
Oh,
right. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that separates FMH from the other AIPs when it comes to using precision for acreage production claims, is that not only do we have a precision team, which how many PTSs do we have today?
I want to say we're up to 12.
12. So those PTS positions, those are typically in-field positions that are basically running in parallel to our sales managers, and they are there just solely to support agents that are using precision to report data. So that's one. And then we have an internal precision team that's also helping make things very smooth. And then on top of that, all of our adjusters are certified in precision, meaning they have an understanding of what they're getting when they get a claim that has been using precision data. I don't think that other AIPs have all those pieces lined up, and I think that's why you see some of the struggles that you do out there. So if you like the idea of trying precision but have been soured in the past by trying it with a different company, give it a try with FMH. One more question for you, Marc. So we talked a little bit about production and claims, audits. No limitations here, right, on what we can do. He said no, by the way. The other thing is we're fairly colorblind too, right? So we really don't have any limitations almost no limitations on where the data is captured. As long as we can get the raw data, we can use this, but we also have some special connections out there as well. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, definitely. We have a connection with Climate FieldView, and we have a connection with John Deere Operations Center. So those are two big names in the industry that a lot of the insureds are using. If they don't use one of those, that's not a deal breaker by any means. We take a lot of raw data or monitor data, like you mentioned. So we can take data from, really any brand or color of equipment, and we can have the insured send it to us, and we can use that information too. So we always use the term colorblind. So there hasn't been very many scenarios that we can't work through.
Perfect. I'm sure there's both farmers and agents out there that might listen to this and think, okay, but what do I do now? Right? It's April 4th. Is it too late to start doing this for 2024?
Definitely not. No, we have, it's right now is a great time. A lot of farmers haven't started planting yet, but they're definitely getting geared up to start here, very soon. But I guess the biggest thing is, have the farmer either contact the agent. If an agent wants to get started and doesn't know how, contact their sales manager or the PTS, and we can set up a meeting, call, Zoom, whatever works for them, and get the ball rolling.
Perfect. I'm going to give you guys a chance for any closing words here, and then we'll wrap up. Sarah, anything you want to add, whether it be precision related or any other one of those methods we talked about in terms of acreage reporting?
I think if you're willing to try a new way and you haven't ever tried accuracy, it's definitely something to always give a try. I think people would be surprised on the benefits of it.
Mhm.
And you can also say that precision, both on the insured and the agency side, it's very streamlined, swift, and beneficial to all parties involved.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely. Yeah, I guess my closing remark is it's an excellent service tool. I mean, farmer, it's a great, they've made that investment in that technology. This is something that doesn't cost them anything. Hopefully it saves them time and money. It's a great service tool for an agent.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate both of you being on the podcast today. Great information. Thank you for sharing your stories and your information. Thank you, everybody listening out there. Do not forget to subscribe to the FMH Insurecast on whatever platform you are listening to. We also will be posting this video version of this podcast on YouTube, so you can check us out there as well. But otherwise, good luck planting this season, and we will talk at you again soon.
You've been listening to FMH Insurecast. We appreciate you joining us today and would like to hear from you. If you have questions about today's topic or an idea to share for an upcoming podcast, you can contact us at fmhpodcast@fmh.com. Thanks for listening. This podcast is intended for information purposes only. See policy provisions, terms, and conditions for details. Products underwritten by Farmers Mutual Hail Insurance Company of Iowa and its affiliates, West Des Moines, Iowa. Farmers Mutual Hail is an equal opportunity provider.